Everything in this video is alleged. I've been following this case for 2 years now. The information just gets sadder and darker. There haven't been any resolutions for this family. No reasons of why their loved one has gone missing. It's just horrifying. There have been no arrests. Williamson, West Virginia, Mingo County, population 2,735. Williamson is a very small town. Charles Taylor Jr. has been missing in that small town for over 2 years now. His nickname, Chuck and Little Chuck. He's been missing since September 20th, 2020. So many unsettling, strange occurrences, shaky people involved, racism, drug users, police department with sloppy police work, if any, the police officers and the higher-ups known for shady dealings. In this tragic case, people lingered around him, preyed on him. People were not mentally well around him and with dangerous intent around him. I've done a lot of research along with watching several videos on YouTube who showed the family members, watching videos made by Taylor's own sister, Chastity Taylor. This family is hurting. They have been tremendously overwhelmed. They have been grieving for months. When I tried to research this case a year and a half ago, there are a lot of missing black men in West Virginia by the name of Charles Taylor. None were the Charles Taylor that I was researching. I finally found a missing person page dated 2022 this year from NamUs. It featured Taylor's original information. That's still very questionable. Maybe that's because the police didn't think he was missing. They thought that he left on his own accord and that it wasn't foul play. But first, here's a little bit about Taylor's life and how he became to even be in West Virginia. Taylor was a very spiritual, family-oriented man. He was a jokester, very intelligent, says his mother, Sherry Taylor. Taylor went to school for the blind and deaf. Taylor was legally blind. He grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. When he was older, he met and dated a young woman, and they had 3 children together. The small family decided to move to West Virginia. Taylor constantly stayed in contact with his siblings. He spoke to at least one daily. Taylor had suffered from depression, mental illness, and was more than likely self-medicating. He would end up with an addiction problem while in West Virginia. He would seek help. I'm not certain of the relationship at this point with the mother of his 3 children, but Taylor would move into a low-income housing building, the Williamson Towers. While he was seeking out treatment and trying to recover, he met a woman by the name of Alexis Williams. She was designated to be paid to care for Taylor. She was paid through West Virginia Choice. The two had also had a romantic relationship for over 2 years. The family would find out after Taylor's disappearance that Williams was a caregiver as well. She was also mentally unstable herself. People who knew this couple, they said that Williams was emotionally, mentally, and physically abusive towards Taylor. She would maybe hide things from him, knowing that he was visually impaired. For her, this was amusement. She never wanted him out of her sight. she was very overbearing and possessive when it came to him. However, at the same time, she would stray and have relationships with other men, not just outside of the relationship with him, but in the same building. She had sexual liaisons with others. She was a known drug user and owed a lot of money to a lot of people, rumor has it. Taylor, who's legally blind, has muscular degeneration. He can only see figures, shadows, gray and black hazy spots. Taylor's older sister, Dominique, shares the same vision impairment as her brother. She says you cannot leave and go anywhere by yourself, not without help. Williams would call Taylor's sister and tell her that he was missing. She had no idea where he was, but she would have to wait 48 hours before she could file a missing persons report. So, in actuality, he went missing on September 18th, but couldn't file the missing persons report until September 20th. The police would call the family and ask them, is that something that he would do? It was not. Taylor would stay in contact with someone at all times. He would speak to one of his siblings. He had a cell phone. He never went anywhere without it. Why wouldn't Taylor use his phone now? Why hasn't Taylor contacted any of his family? Where was his cell phone? Did he even have his cell phone on him? On September 30th, Taylor's family would go to the local news in Williamson. They had a search party planned and they needed to get Taylor's picture out there to the local media so people would know that he was missing. Dominique, she found it strange that everyone had shown up at the towers. It was actually her first time being there and she wasn't expecting this. Williamson police and all was there. The search party would last all of 30 minutes. It was for show. That's what the family was thinking, because the police came when the news cameras were on, and they left as soon as the news cameras was off. The family wanted cadaver dogs, but no dogs were present. Police would tell the family that Taylor left the building at 5:01. Though the cameras weren't working, they showed a still picture of a man that they said was Taylor, wearing a pink and red striped shirt. The photo was a picture of a black man, the back of him, but it was not Taylor. The family knew it was not Taylor. The police even knew it was not Taylor. No copies were passed out. They were only shown to certain individuals who wanted to see the picture and maybe assist in that search. Now, 8 minutes away from Williamson is a small area called Cinderella. It's in West Virginia. Police told the family that they received calls that Taylor was there and he was walking around and talking to himself. The family would see that there was a school there, and they had found out that there were no sightings of Taylor there. They asked the police for documentation for those calls. The family wanted to keep records of their own while searching for their missing loved one. The police promised, but never produced any of those records, calls, or sightings in Cinderella, West Virginia. Police would ask Taylor's family did they want to view the apartment. Most of his belongings were gone, but a lot of his things were at Williams' apartment. Taylor only had his bed, sofa, and the Bible left in the apartment. There were writings left by Taylor saying that he was afraid that someone was out to get him, that people were doing him wrong. He was asking God for help. The sisters felt like the apartment had been staged. The police wasn't even protecting the apartment as a crime scene, like the case was foiled from the beginning. There were security cameras on the walls. Note, Taylor's sister later found out that she was a representative and an authorized user on this camera footage. She obtained a copy and she saw that there was a strange older white man, definitely older than Taylor, inside his apartment, in his refrigerator. The footage was bizarre. Who was it? And more importantly, how did he get inside Taylor's apartment? The police had to assist on this. The police reports and documents had to be issued so that the security company could be able to release more of this surveillance footage. The family hasn't found out who this man was as of this video. Williams told the family that he had taken his telephone with him. Dominique Taylor would ask William, where was the television? It was missing out of her brother's apartment. Lie after lie. After Taylor's disappearance, it was said that Williams may have tried to access funds belonging to Taylor, but again, another loophole. The police would have to aid and assist to even get this information to come out. Would they ever? Taylor had left the apartment with his phone. He tried to call his brother at 5 a.m. through Facebook, but his brother missed the call. He was asleep. Someone was trying to harm him, he had said, up into the days that he vanished. Taylor had never given any names. He spoke about drug addicts in the past that had been bothering him. Why? Why was Taylor even involved with these people? Had he relapsed? The specifics weren't clear as to why, but Taylor did receive an SSI income of $450. He was a very easy target, too trusting, alone, and blind. The family does believe that he was lured. In the petition, Abigail Chapman, Megan Levy, and Savannah Hendricks may have been 3 of the prostitutes that had lured him from the apartment. They denied knowing Taylor on social media, but later they would say that they had made transactions with him in the past on social media. 3 weeks before Taylor went missing in that same area, a guy was axed over a $50 drug deal. And these women may have been behind that assault. Dakota B. and Justin C. were 2 men who have ties with these crimes as well. Maybe perhaps even involving Taylor's. Social media posts that were involved found these to be funny. Bullying, torturing, chastising, crude comments about Taylor and his disability. Fake pages, phone call after phone call, people calling, telling his family where the parts of Taylor could be located, anywhere from Virginia to Kentucky. The horror this family endured and still continues to. A woman watching the family post up missing flyers, she told the family that Taylor was dead, dismembered, 2 houses down from her house on Vincent Street. The family would arrive to the abandoned house. It was likened to a trap house. It was dirty, dingy, disgusting, trash everywhere. There was even a bloody glove outside. Around the back, there was bloody carpeting. It was clear something sinister had happened here. Taylor's brother Chad would kick in the door. He saw blood everywhere, a table with an axe on it, dried blood on knives, the fresh smell of blood in the air. There is a room in this blood-stained house that's disgusting, that is absolutely spotless. You can still smell the strong cleaning agents in the air. The family is horrified. Meanwhile, Sherry Taylor, she calls the police. While the family waits for the police, a man approaches the family. He asks, what are they doing there? It's his house. Chad tells the man he thought that the house was abandoned, that there was blood everywhere inside the house, and he was looking for his brother, who was said to have been murdered. Apparently, the resident that stays at this house, he says he knows Taylor. He also tells the family he had been incarcerated at the time of Taylor's disappearance, and he had just gotten out of jail a week earlier, and no idea what had happened in his house. While he was in jail, he had just started to simply clean up the bloodstained carpet. Chad would ask him, if blood is everywhere, isn't that suspicious? Isn't that alarming? Why wouldn't you call the police? The man would tell him he doesn't mess with the police. An argument almost ensued between the man who lived at the murder crime scene and Taylor's brother. The WV chief of police would arrive finally, accompanied by the mayor. Chad would point out the bloody glove for everyone to see. The blood on the glove was now dried up. The chief of police tells him that this is jelly from a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I will repeat that. The chief of police says this discarded rubber glove with something red on it, dried up, is jelly from an old sandwich. Chad is infuriated. The police now is upset that Chad had even kicked in the door of this house, but consent is given to the police so they're able to go inside. The mayor collects the bloody knives. He puts it in brown paper bags along with pieces of carpet. He puts this in his actual personal car. Authorities tell the Taylor family that they will secure this evidence. He will put it in his garage for safekeeping. More tampering of Taylor's case. The family feels that everything now is intentional. Even the mayor has been in the headline for fraud, along with the police department. I'm not a forensic scientist, but that's not how you process and handle evidence that could possibly be used in a murder investigation. A few episodes of crime scene investigation, and they could figure that out. Again, were the police sabotaging this crime evidence on purpose? Charles Taylor left at 5:01 a.m., and there is nothing around but a wooded area, train tracks around this building. He's blind. He's a man with special needs. Why wasn't a silver alert issued? He's without his medicine that he needs to take daily. The police was staying in the fact that he left on his own accord, and it was not foul play. Now, Taylor had been arrested under someone else's name. The police would take Taylor to the woods and beat him. He was scratched up and beaten pretty badly. I'm not sure. Is that why this case has become like this? It's unclear to me why this even happened to Taylor. But could this be part of the reasons why they just don't care, besides the fact that he's poor, he's black, he's blind? I mean, nothing to see here. It's everything to see from the Taylor family. He's missing, he's wanted, and he is loved, and they need him back. They feel like now it's a recovery mission for his body. They would like to be able to put his remains at rest. Taylor's family would go through sheer hell trying to find out where their beloved family member was. The family felt like the police wasn't doing much, if anything at all, to bring this case to a close. Police weren't even trying to incriminate the criminals that may have been involved in this situation. The family was frustrated. All the flyers that the family had posted up, all 400, had been taken down in a matter of days. The family would take it into their hands, thanking WV police, but they needed someone else to help and assist. A petition was started and granted. Other authorities would take over Taylor's case, the U.S. Marshals and the state police. It seemed everyone in this seedy area knew Taylor, or knew of Taylor, and had plenty of things to say to the family. Quote, "He's dead. He was murdered here. He was chopped up here. He was chopped up there. His body's here in 4 different locations," unquote. The family is now receiving these disturbing messages daily. All this information pertaining to their brother. They're being threatened and even treated badly on social media. They want answers. They want to know what happened to Charles Taylor Jr. But they're ridiculed daily. I've saw the texts. Awful. As the family continued their own investigation, they're told that drug-meth-addicted prostitutes have lured him out of his apartment, and he was robbed for $450 and he was dismembered. They had done this before, and they were not arrested. These prostitutes were white women, and they felt they could get away with anything because they'd done this before. And had they done this to Taylor? There was people of interest in this case. The WV Police Department would post this on their Facebook page. They would even list the people of interest. But for some reason, they couldn't find them. When it was clear in the comments, people was telling them where they were. Did the police even want to find them? Claiming that they were even looking for them? Taylor's phone has been recovered. The phone that he always had on him. It was turned into the police department by Williams. She said she found it in a box spring mattress. The police were supposed to send this phone off to forensics so that a specialist could determine if there was any clues in the phone that could have found out what had happened to Taylor. However, the police give this phone to a random citizen. They actually had done this. Even the police had told lies about this phone, saying that they thought Taylor's father had had the phone. But now the police had the phone back. But before then, the person would tell them the phone was wiped clean. There was nothing on it. His apps, text messages, everything wiped clean. A wallet containing Taylor's ID. It was supposed to be in the possession of a woman named Rhonda Johnson. They said she had the wallet, but she burned it. Phones given to random citizens by the police. Bloody carpet and axes and knives stored in a corrupt mayor's garage. Lack of communication or none at all by the police. Siblings looking in gutters, lakes, rivers, abandoned houses, trying to find their missing brother. And this is only part 1. Please stay tuned as I sum up the rest. Charles Taylor, date of last contact by the family, September 17th and 18th, nicknamed Chuck. Last seen in a red and pink striped shirt. The clothes is actually unknown. More than likely he was wearing jeans. Converse All-Star Chuck Taylors, his signature shoes. He has biblical tattoos on both of his forearms.